Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com with another episode of the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. The show that does exactly what it says on the tin in the most annoying way possible. You're welcome. Now, as per usual, we have tons of content to roll through, so let's get these giraffes locked and loaded and hit that jingle. Right, so I'm going to start by talking about the exceptional Omega match that happened this week. It had build, it had pathos, it delivered where it counted in the ring, and it had Omega standing squaring off against his opponent, looking him dead in the eyes and saying, "Big E, savor this moment because it's the only main event you'll see." Oh, you thought I was going to talk about the Okada versus Omega match that Dave Meltzer spurted his 7 stars over? No. If you want to read more about that, go back to the website and talk to Michael Sidgwick because he wrote an absolutely beautifully penned love letter on the match that I just couldn't do justice. No, I'm talking about the really insane thing that happened at E3 this year. You had Xavier Woods, Big E, and Kofi Kingston, aka The New Day, taking on the Elite, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega in a Street Fighter V competition. And trust me, it was absolutely brilliant. Even if you're not into gaming, it was f***ing fantastic because they managed to mix gaming and wrestling in a way not seen since Here Comes the Pain on PS2, aka the best wrestling game. Come at me, you No Mercy fans. It was a best of 5 matches and the loser had to eat incredibly hot chili peppers, so it had basically a payoff that was just worth watching, even though it did take an hour and 47 minutes. It was definitely brilliant. And it had such great lines in between as the two cut promos on each other, and it was just brilliant. And it's great to see Big E genuinely get pissed off. He's a lovely, lovely man, and he seems really up for a laugh, but Jesus Christ, some of the lines clearly cut him deep. He stood there like this, just flexing his pecs. Loved it. Such smack-talking lines were, "Take your time, Creed. You got to probably wait for the WWE to write your promos," which got a big pop. And then Xavier Woods came back with, "Oh, you've probably not seen a crowd this big because you're used to wrestling in bingo halls." And the best thing is that they knew where the line was. Because after a while, I think it was Matt just stood there with his arms crossed. Big E was looking pretty pissed off as well. So Kenny picked up the mic and just said, "I'm sorry." And then Xavier Woods followed up with, "I'm also sorry." So they basically had respect for each other. It was great and insane to think that this is probably the only real competition that we're going to see between the WWE and New Japan for a long old while. But trust me, hour 47 of your life, it is worth it. And they're pretty f***ing good at the game as well. Could do me, I'll tell you that much. And now welcome to the Philosophical Corner.
What do you call a joke with no punchline?
Yes, again, very deep thoughts. Thank you, Phil, for taking time out of your busy schedule to do this. Also, you call it the Dad Jokes segment that the WWE put out this week because that was f***ing tripe. Now, I get it. Dad jokes are important. Dads are important. Without them f***ing each and every one of your mothers, we wouldn't even be here. But this comedy, it struck a deep and horrible chord within me. And I think it's because these jokes, which were delivered by, laughable comedian-style wrestlers like Rhino and Kurt Hawkins, it's not actually that dissimilar to when the WWE are trying to be serious. The writing quality is about the same. There's a funny bit when Goldust just said, "Who actually writes these jokes?" And I imagine that off camera, about 5 or 6 writers put their hands up because they had to rub their one creative brain cell together to come up with that piece of piss. Probably Stephanie McMahon put her hand up as well, seeing she likes to take credit for f***ing everything. What I'm trying to say is it was absolutely groan-inducing and almost gimmick infringement, seeing as dad jokes are kind of my thing. And I'll tell you what, if you want a good WWE joke, how about this one? "You're f***ing booking! Hey!" Quick question, how do you make a man who looks as threatening as Bobby Lashley come across about as threatening as Mr. Blobby? You have him use the phrase, "I'm gonna beat your butt." He looks like a f***ing brick privy, but he's speaking to you like a little brother in church. I feel for Bobby. I actually feel for Bobby. I really do, because he's actually running 2 assault courses at the moment. One that they made him do on Raw last week, and one that is the WWE itself. He's come back onto the scene with all the force of a f***ing marshmallow spear, entering into this weird feud with Sami Zayn where it's played for laughs and bizarrely exposes a lot of the business itself. You can see Vince's handprints all over Bobby because he's the one that's telling him to do all this shtick. He's the one that's telling him to basically take abuse and stand there smiling about it. It reminds me of the 90s wrestling, and not the good kind, the really corny, over-the-top superhero kind that was, quite frankly, shit. That being said, and here's the insane part, they actually managed to pull a good segment out of this f***ing skip fire because by doing the assault course, they showcased how actually physically gifted Bobby Lashley is when he's not dropping people at the greatest Royal Rumble. He managed to complete those assault course challenges in times that would be embarrassing to every other human. Like, it's... I sat there and I felt like I got the sweats watching him do it. Yeah, he's a strong, pretty gifted dude. It's just mad to think that you've got such a physically gifted athlete and then you're just chucking him into feuds like this. And the really insane thing is that why didn't he just f***ing lamp Sami the moment that he was finished with the assault course? That's what I'd have done. Cheeky little whippet. Instead, he smiled, he laughed, and he looked like an absolute goon for doing Sami Zayn's bidding. And we all just became a little sadder for it. Moving on. The WWE has what you might term as a short-term memory. It asks us to forget feuds the moment that they're over in favour of just sweeping along with the next thing because they clearly don't have a bloody clue where they're going themselves. It's kind of like a granddad trying to tell you a story that just goes on and on and on without any point to it at all. Also, kind of like an Andy Murray video. And it seems like this short-term memory loss is actually affecting some of its stars as well. I mean, Natalya's knee injury moved from one to the other. The ice pack went across, which is great storytelling, isn't it? Then we had Ricochet, who completely forgot how gravity works as he basically put the suicide in suicide dive, jumping over the ropes, and with no one to catch him, he landed square on his chest and it looked so painful. Triple H later tweeted out just saying like, oh, he's tweaked himself after this and he's not going to be on any NXT tapings until NXT TakeOver. Tweaked himself? Bloody hell. Enzo Amore's exit from the ring was more graceful. And it also seems that Daniel Bryan forgot which company he worked for as well, as he basically took on Mike Jackson, aka the Chick Magnet Potato Puncher, on Twitter, basically just saying like, you know, I reckon I could take you. Daniel, wait for your push to die that the WWE is killing off every single week before you go somewhere else, please. Don't spark rumours of you leaving as well, that are even more so. Just finish out your contract there first, mate. And then you can go beat up that guy who worked in a circus, apparently, and has now been fired from the UFC, along with Punk, apparently. What a great weekend it's been, eh? So there's all of these guys who are having an absolute brain fart with Natalya. I've only got one thing to say.
Are you having a giraffe?
And we end with one of the most beautiful mergers since my last sexual conquest. Chris Jericho, a man who was a prodigy in WCW, made metal in the furnace of the WWF/E, and now has come full circle as the old lion with fangs to f***ing bear in New Japan, because he's just won their Intercontinental Championship. It's clear why this is insane, right? It's almost like every promotion that he works with is on the up when he's there. Some would call it coincidence. Some would say that he's probably one of the best wrestlers ever to exist. And his gimmick is absolutely brilliant at the moment because he's using these years of charisma, this self-taught, self-made man. Yeah, take that, Stephanie. He actually is a self-made man. And he's using that charisma to give absolutely zero f***s. When he grabs cameras, when he takes photos of himself giving the finger, when he yells f*** face in the middle of the ring to his opponent. Yeah, this guy's on another level now. It's funny, isn't it, how this guy, whose entrance obviously is the countdown, keep adding more time to his clock. So yeah, it's more than a little insane that he's won the championship and he's continuing his run in New Japan. I honestly cannot wait to see what he does next. And there we have it. Those are the most insane things happening in wrestling this week. Now to close out the show the only way I know how, by reading my favourite comment from last week's episode. And this comes from a lovely chap called Derek Allen 5. Oh no, that's 5 days ago. I'm going to carry on anyway. He says, bullshit, the CM thing has been known for years. I've known for a long time and I'm not a hardcore fan at all. Right, to clear this up, people knew that his name was Chick Magnet Punk. He also said that it stood for Chicago Made. He said it stood for a few other things as well. People keep pointing back to this like best of documentary thing that he did back in 2012. The thing is that it was official. Like him just saying that it was that and keeping on changing it, that meant that it wasn't official. In a court of law, he had to officially stand up and state that his name was Chick Magnet Punk. That is all I was saying. I'm sorry it didn't come across. Derek Allen! But I hope you have a nice day. Big love to you, bud. As always, a massive thank you to Michael Sidgwick and Phil Chambers for their continued work on this show. And to you at home, thank you so much for watching. And if you like the sound of my voice and want to see something a little bit different, then why not go over to the gaming channel, where I've been there for 2 years, in case anyone's typing who's this new guy. Been with the company for 2 years. Anyway, there's a video here that you can check out, or you can go to That Film Theory, which is where I basically look at film theories and dissect movies and have a bit of fun. I have many strings to my bow. I don't just do this. Bloody knackering. Anyway, as always, I've been Jules, you've been awesome, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye!